So there's a war happening that no one's really talking about, and it's not actually in the Middle East.
So tonight I want to talk about going to war. Going to war not with China, not with Iran, but going to war with Venezuela because it could be coming sooner than you think. Take a look at this.
Breaking news, a dramatic U.S.-led escalation in the Caribbean. What the Navy calls the largest warship ever built, along with fighter jets, heading to the waters off Latin America.
So for a few months now, the U.S. has been working on something that kind of looks a lot like a regime change in Venezuela. And this story caught my attention because as I'm getting older, I see the same story told again and again, but this time it's a lot easier for me to see through the narrative, and it's really interesting to break down the psychology of how a government sells a story and an idea to its people. So why is the US so interested in Venezuela? Why is it happening right now? Let me explain. The news tells us it's about democracy. It's about human rights, the war on drugs.
The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel.
Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker.
I announced $50 million reward for his capture.
But there is another story. The story is about oil and power and the war to stop China and Russia from getting control over the idea of what money will be in the future. And Venezuela is a very important part of this story. Venezuela happens to be a country with the biggest oil reserves on earth, even more than Saudi Arabia. But going to war is very unpopular, so how do you sell the idea of war to people? And there's a couple different ways that the government does this. For example, if the drug war narrative doesn't convince you because you're like, I don't really care about that, then maybe an economic angle will resonate better. We're doing it to fight the socialists because capitalism's clearly better, right? But if that doesn't work, maybe appealing to your patriotism and your values will. We're fighting for democracy, protecting freedom, stopping human rights abuses, right? There's always some moral angle to sell an unpopular idea so that we can step in and fix all the wrongs in this world. This time it's not Iraq, it's not Libya, it's Venezuela, which again is a country that happens to be sitting on more oil than anyone else on earth. It's also a country that happens to be very closely aligned with China, Russia,